Welcome to the Digital Drawing Dojo. There are some who call me Tim, Illustrator. In any case, sit back and enjoy the show as your sensei slings silly shenanigans across your screen. If you're willing, like, comment, subscribe, and support below. Today, I will be working on Totes McGoats. As eventually found on page 5 of my upcoming book, this kid has gone through quite a few style changes, but today he is getting a final coat, then I'll be good to go on to the next page. So this guy right over here, and let's dive right in. No point in working small, might as well use that zoom feature. So, come on in here, find the right lighter that this guy is on. So we've got, where is he? Quite a few of these. So, I believe the big goat. There he is. Alright, so as you can see, I've already started brushing up a little bit around here in the darker color, and then kind of gotten my shading colors built in there. And then also some of the lighter ones, and I've got a couple of colors mixed into there. Got some yellows and reds, so that should look nice. And so gotta get my color reference in here, and that is going to be on my proof colors layer. So let's pop over there real briefly. And I've written myself a nice little note over here where I'm going to be starting on the lighter colors and then switch it over to the dark. So I'm going to bring this dark up just a little bit, and then we're going to go even lighter on the next coat. So let's select the next color, and I believe it's that one. Up the brush size just a little bit. And go ahead and start. Not that, does not look right. That does look right. Okay. Now I'm actually remembering what I meant was to go even lighter on the white and then proceed. So let's go ahead and do that. So just highlighting in here a little bit. This is going to be where the sunlight is hitting our good buddy Totes the most. So just kind of bring that up a little bit, make that a little lighter. And here we go. So obviously this is going to take a little bit, and you just have the sound of my voice and the scratching of my tablet to listen to. So if you would like to speed that up a little bit, feel free to use YouTube and bring that up to 2 times speed, or whatever suits your fancy. I'm going to be in here for maybe a good 20-30 minutes, so definitely going to be trying to bring Mr. Totes to a somewhat final form, so try and do that just about as quick as I can. Alright. Yep, just layer that all on. Let some of those, a couple of those dark colors are going to come through. And otherwise it should just start to look like some goat hairs sticking out there. Bit of a tedious process, but we're gonna work at it and see what happens. Round it out a little bit, try and give a little bit of a 3D feel there. So obviously he's a little bit more rounded here and up in the shoulders. So try and give that effect with some curving lines a little bit there. So starting to look a little more sharp. And eventually we're going to blend these light areas together a little bit more with the dark shadowy areas. But for now, just keep on working. Or I suppose it's more of playing really, because even though it's routine, I think it's rather enjoyable to just keep on doing the same thing for a little while and then look up and, hey, that looks alright. So keep on working. Get some of that shadow play on there. Even within the overall lighter area, there's still some more darker highlight areas. So make sure and bring those out. Again, here's the kind of sunlight getting in a little bit. And here we are. So yeah, Photoshop is a lot of, which is what I'm using, is a lot of layer work. So I'm on one very specific layer, as you've noticed, and that is the, I called it the big goat layer, but I suppose you can call it whatever. Really the idea here is that this goat is indeed our friendly protagonist Totes. So I could have named it according to that, but as it turned out I did not. Of course I can fix that, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, so we're going to just kind of keep it as is. Alright, now that that whole coat has that little bit of a brighter sheen to it, we're going to add a little bit of work to his shadow. And so we're going to go back to that just slightly lighter color, and we're going to kind of lightly go over some of these shadow parts so that they still look like a shadow, but they're getting a little bit more texture to it. And in addition, just kind of that nice little textured look. And so right now I'm using a tablet, and so I essentially have a little pen that I'm working right here on the surface, and that corresponds to the screen over there. And my setting is set to pen pressure, so as you can see up here actually, I'll point to it. So this is the pen pressure setting, and I'm working at 100% opacity. So that just means that the the harder I press on my pad, then the more true color I'm getting out of that. So I'm kind of doing it a little bit lightly here. Don't want it to be just a pure block so much. And yeah, I think that looks rather nice. So we're gonna just keep at that and shoot over to the leg a little bit here. So our furry friend, or I suppose goats are more hairy than they are furry, but all the same. Getting a little more texture in there. I'm also trying out this mic for the first time, so hopefully I'm not mumbling too much. You can understand me or speed me up. Maybe that makes it easier. I'm not entirely sure. So we're just experimenting together, you and I. And this whole technique that I'm using right now was also a bit of an experiment, where I was just drawing, playing around in Photoshop a little bit, seeing what I liked, what worked, what didn't work, and there definitely were a few things that did not work out so well. And then I found that I really liked this layering technique. So I stuck with it, and that's kind of what's coming out of here. Trying to leave myself a little bit of dark coloration in there, because this is definitely shadows. So let's just kind of lightly fill that in. Get a little chipmunk cheek in there. Turns out it is getting somewhat close to lunchtime, so I myself might be heading out shortly, but of course you won't know that, because we're going to keep this thing rolling until then. So if you hear any gurgles or anything, that might be my stomach, but it will not be a problem. You might have seen my previous video working on this guy, and we had some background music for you there. And instead this time you get me testing out a microphone. And let's see, get that ear to pop out there a little bit. And then after I've kind of completed a section, or at least I think I have, I like to zoom it out all the way to 100%, make sure that that looks pretty good too. And I think that is about the effect I was hoping to achieve, so maybe we'll just blend it a little bit more right on that line. But otherwise, we are good to proceed to the next step. So as you can kind of see through the proof colors over there on the left, we've got another goat buddy. It's a little bit more completed. It's got all the styles over there. So here's the herd. All these little goat friends. There, just a little bit of light and dark so you can't see so obviously where the light ends and the dark begins, because that's kind of how shadows work, is you notice them more if you're paying a little bit of attention, but you don't want it to be super sharp. Okay. So we're gonna repeat this style a little bit. And do just kind of some blending as well. Alright, so we're gonna select the next color. And then go back to my brush tool. I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller to get that fine detailing look. And because of the lighter color, now we're working on the highlights end of things a little bit more. So we're not going to necessarily cover as much ground, but we're definitely going to put some lighter colors in here. Get that 3D look going a little bit. And there's the sun hitting these nice little spots. And really highlighting just a couple of them. Maybe a little on the shoulders here. Looks pretty good. Now it's back. With the sun, at least as I'm imagining it on this page, is coming up, or coming down from the top left of the page. So that's kind of where I'm imagining the sun is gonna kind of bop Totes right here. So a couple little places. And then on top, that shoulder, look a little more shouldery, and really not so much in that shadowy spot. We're not going to get this really bright highlighted color, but definitely more on the top a little bit here. And even his ear, even though that's kind of turned more towards us, is gonna catch just a little bit of that sunlight. Definitely his side of his face is gonna get some of that. And right here in his chipmunk cheek, that's right there out in the sun. So let's get that filled in. And this part of his face is a little bit more shadowy, perhaps, but definitely picking up some sun rays. Try and make sure that's going in the right direction of the hair, just kind of scattering all over. Alright, well, definitely looks like I'm not going to be able to finish this guy up before lunchtime, but I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little bit of the process, and some of the work that I've done here, but don't want to leave you feeling unsatisfied, so we are going to go, and actually I was able to do quite a bit of work on page 6. So here's the upcoming page 6, and I have been able to do that. Don't always get it done in order, but here we have Mr. Totes. He's standing out in a field, outstanding in his field, with his huge appetite. And so there's that more finished look of, got that full gradient going to the lighter colors, and got that nice great grassy plain is out there. So hope that you've enjoyed this little work along, and until next time, this is your sensei saying sayonara.